Okay, so welcome to another episode of the Jurassic Park Podcast, and this is a special episode. On Friday, you'll have seen the launch trailer for Jurassic World Evolution 3, and we'll have had a video and an article breaking that down. And now today, a new gameplay trailer was released on IGN. Now, Brad and I were lucky enough to see some of the gameplay in advance in a private session where we got to preview an early build of the game. So we're going to talk you through that early build of the game, some of the details we noted, and some of the notable things to consider ahead of the launch of the third title in the Evolution franchise. Before we get into any of that though, Brad, I wanted to ask your initial impressions.
Well, all right, yeah, let me get into that. But I want to just set it up first here that, like, I had just said this recently. I'm like, well, we got to start getting something. Jurassic June's coming around the corner. We've got, like, no information on anything. And then in the inbox, we get this, for the digital session, kind of like viewing everything. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Finally, here comes some information. So I think Jurassic June's getting kicked off pretty well here. And my initial impressions... I don't know. I'll always be pretty honest about this. That I did enjoy Evolution 1 a lot. Evolution 2, I really liked a lot of the elements of it, and I think over time they probably added a lot of quality of life features that I didn't really experience because I kind of stopped playing it a little early on. And there were some frustrating things that I just like couldn't get myself past, but I did like a lot of the additional modes and things that were involved in it. But it's the game that always, like, every time they come out with a new update or something, I'm always drawn in by the visuals, how cool it looks. But I just need that step to kind of kick me into actually start playing it again. So when I saw this, so when I saw these, initial, whatever they were, I was just like, okay, this all looks pretty new to me. I'm having a hard time discerning what is actually new versus what is Evolution 3 new. But I think everything that I could at least discern right away looked very cool. I loved, and this is something that, like, goes back pretty far for me, but there's, like, creator tools and things like that I thought were really interesting, whether it's like landscape or buildings. And so that's a lot of things that I've said in the past about, like, oh, I wish I had these tools. So it seems like a lot of those tools are being implemented into things that I'm looking forward to. And then, like different dinosaur features and, baby ones, juveniles. Like, I was like, oh, this is some cool stuff. Sorry, I'm spoiling the conversation a little bit, but like, there's really cool elements, I think, that are in this. It looks beautiful. It looks as good as always, but I think with some of the settings and things, I was like, oh, this looks really, really nice. I will say, and we can dive into this as well to a greater extent, but I was like, all right, this is where we are in this story. We're just kind of sticking right here. I thought that was kind of interesting, but we'll dive into that more. What did you think? Did you have any first thoughts?
Yeah, so story is bullet point number 3. So I have it all bullet pointed out, Brad.
I know you do. I know you do.
Deep. So my initial impressions, I didn't notice the juveniles first. Even though they're quite a prominent part of the trailer, my brain just... It was like, the reference I can give you is it was like the Doctor Who Season 3 finale, because I've just rewatched it recently, where everybody gets the key that they put around their neck that shifts them just out of perception of other people. And that was what the juveniles were for me. I didn't quite perceive them. But yeah, so watching it initially, I mean, I played a lot of Jurassic World Evolution 2, so I played pretty much all of the DLC. I made a few cinematic videos on it. I've put a lot of hours into the game. So initially, I kind of looked at it and I thought, this visually is very similar to Jurassic World Evolution 2. I've seen kind of a few gameplays where people have added mods to the map, so things like different buildings, etc. And initially, to me, my kind of gut reaction was this just like looks like Jurassic World Evolution 2 with mods. However, as they went through it and as they kind of highlighted more and more of the features to us, I began to see that actually there has been a lot of work done to shift things, to add new features. I just think there's probably going to be an uphill battle in terms of getting people who have been fans of the previous two games on board with this when it is an iteration that looks so similar to the original version. Now, that's what we had with Evolution into Evolution 2 as well, and Evolution 2 did end up building a lot on the features, and it became a very different game to Evolution 1, so I'm sure that will be the same here, but I did just have that initial reaction where I was quite struck by how similar the parallels were.
Yeah, we didn't really get a huge glimpse at all of the offerings. We got a handful of things, and I think they were very good things. But you know how like the second game added so many different modes and stuff into that game, so it really felt like a bigger, different experience when you played that versus the first game. So hopefully we have some of those elements as well in here. Like we've said, there's been some other stuff since we initially watched the footage and stuff, but it's hard to tell when we're recording this right now. But I think I think this one, well, first off, those juveniles, like I saw it right away, and I thought like, oh, there's the baby T-Rexes. It looks like the Lost World, baby T-Rex. And I did have that instinctual thing, like I was like, oh, is this new? Did I miss something along the way? I forget if they've ever added this. So that was kind of my mindset going into a lot of the different features, like all the building and the terrain tools. I'm like, oh, is this new or is it not? I mean, it looks really cool and new to me. So you'll have to kind of walk me through some of those things as well. But yeah, and in terms of what you had said about the audience from 1 and 2, you're gonna have to try to really invigorate them, because I think a lot of people have been looking for other kind of games. I think Evolution has been really, really fun and awesome for a lot of people, and for like photo modes and stuff like that. It's been really exciting to see like what people can create. But I think a lot of people are expecting new ground, new territory. So when this kind of looks very, very similar, it's going to be interesting to see what the conversation is surrounding this one. But I think, yes, it looks really cool. It looks really awesome. I need to see that little bit more that'll entice, or what's going to entice everybody into the scene again.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same on that. But I mean, for those of you who are already enticed, we do have some launch details. So it has been confirmed that this game will release on Xbox Series X and S. It will be on the PS5, Epic Game Store, Steam, and new for this release on Windows as well. It's going to have a $49.99 price point for the basic edition, but you can get a deluxe edition for $59.99. Pre-orders are going to get a bonus, just like they did with Jurassic World Evolution 2, and this time around the bonus is a pack of scenery items inspired by the Montana dig site in Jurassic Park. So you get the mobile home, a canopy, fossils, computers, the fossil finder, and a static ATV prop. And it also includes a red Badlands skin for the new maintenance ATV vehicle. Now, the deluxe edition will include Protoceratops, Thanatostracan, Guanlong, and Concavenator, a Mosasaurus skin, the Clark County scenery pack, and 3 ATV skins. And one other thing to note for launch is there will be over 80 species at launch, and 70 of those species will be breedable. So immediately, some notes there around the pre-order and the deluxe edition. I have to admit, I'm a little bit upset that Protoceratops is locked into the deluxe edition, just because that was one of the animals that I think Proto was quite heavily. It might have been in Evolution 2, actually. Do you know what? I'm gonna check. Let me check before I say this.
And I forget, did you mention the street date for this? I don't know. Did you just mention it or not?
I did not.
So
okay, so go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention that they said it was October 21st in our stream that we watched. So that's a little ways off from this date here and from the release of Rebirth. And I think that's fair enough, because this doesn't directly tie into what Rebirth seems to be doing very
No.
much. So it's, at least with the other films, it kind of felt like, all right, this is going to be a park builder like Jurassic World, and it's going to be like, oh, all right, showcasing dinosaurs, out in the wild, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
iterations where like it felt like it tied directly into the movie. So having this pushed out to October, it's fine with me. Plus, it gives us a lot. We'll have Rebirth DVDs after that. We'll have probably
Yeah.
Chaos Theory. So we're gonna have a lot in the latter half of this year, I think, to look forward to.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Thank you for that. I just double checked, and I don't think Protoceratops was in JWE2. I feel like it was quite fan requested though, so it would maybe be nice to see that in the core dinosaur roster as opposed to the deluxe pack. But beyond that, I think it's quite cool that we're getting more scenery items as well, like the Montana dig site as a pre-order pack. I think is really cool. I just yeah. I would love to see a way to purchase pre-order bonuses down the line, but I know that's not really the point of a pre-order bonus, right?
Okay.
But just for me personally, I always wish I had got the in-gen skins in JWE2. But yeah, so moving on to the campaign and the story, which you've referenced. So I've got a little bit of an overview. You can see I've really prepared my notes for this, Brad. So we are getting the return of Cabot Finch, who has been a recurring character across Evolution and Jurassic World Evolution 2. And in this campaign, he is in charge of the Dinosaur Integration Network, or the DNI, or DIN even, who are working to integrate and conserve dinosaurs across the globe. And like you said, this is set after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, with a heavy focus on sustainable breeding programs as dinosaurs begin to be encountered more in the wild. Dr. Ian Malcolm will return, and we will be playing in locations in Malta, Japan, China, Indonesia, the Dolomites, Nevada, Hawaii, Montana, and the Azores mountain range. And obviously, some locations will feel more connected to the franchise, like the Dolomites, where we're likely to see Sanctuary again.
Yeah. So I took note of that when I was watching the video. I'm like, all right, here's all the locations. They gave us plenty of time, and I was like jotting them all down. Um,
Yeah.
and you just said that is Montana? It's locked behind a pre-order. So if you don't pre-order, you won't
So,
get that
no.
location.
So, you get the Montana map. The pre-order is Montana Badlands themed scenery items. So it's
Oh, okay,
scenery
okay.
items that you can place in your park based on the dig site that Ellie and Alan have at the start of Jurassic Park.
Okay. All right, that makes more sense. I was gonna say that seems weird, but I'm excited for all these different locations, and I always like when they bring in like a new area. When the second game brought in like Pennsylvania and had like different kind of
Mm,
scenery, I was like, oh, this is great. Like I love this vibe. And I think for Japan, that's gonna be really cool because we've got these like cherry
yeah.
blossom trees and mountains, and everything looks like really beautiful in that scenery. So I thought this is gonna be really really cool. So glad to see that. We didn't see all of the locations. I think we had seen like Malta and
Japan.
Japan, maybe something else.
Yeah.
But Malta was really cool too. Was that in a previous iteration or no? This is the
So
first?
this map specifically, no. Malta was in Jurassic World Evolution 2, in the Dominion Malta expansion, which
That's right.
came with
Yeah.
3 different Malta maps. But this looks to be a different location to any of those maps from
Yeah.
JWE2.
And I think this one was like really fascinating, but just because of the multi-level aspect of it all, it looked so
Yes.
awesome. And that's definitely
We're
some
going to
some kind of
talk
feature.
lots about
Yeah,
that.
that's a
Yeah.
feature that I was looking forward to. So I think they're
Yeah.
utilizing these locations in really beautiful ways and giving them new identities based off of that
Yeah.
terrain and everything. So yeah,
I think I'm really curious to see more of that. Like I'm curious to see China and Indonesia. Indonesia particularly just because that's potentially going to have quite a tropical vibe that could be very similar to Rebirth. So I'm looking forward to seeing the kind of palettes that we get to build with there. I think that will be quite cool. And I think it's safe to assume that you'll be able to build on these maps in sandbox mode, because you could build on all of the campaign maps in Jurassic World Evolution 2 as well.
So let me ask you, when you go to Hawaii, is it just gonna be Nublar? Are you just gonna be like, is this the same as Nublar?
Can
What's the
you
difference gonna be?
imagine, right? Imagine if the Hawaii map is really meta and it's like Koala Ranch wants to build a new Jurassic World themed attraction where the Jurassic World film was made.
Dude, that would be so great. Yeah, I think having like little, which I don't know that they would do, but like having these like little like ancient kind of artifacts of filming locations would be kind of really cool to see, like, you know, just covered over something or other. It would be fun to have that, but I doubt that'll happen. But I
I
look
dig
forward to what
that.
that location will be.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. So, I mean, alongside a new campaign comes one of the most fan requested features that we've already touched on, which is the inclusion of juvenile dinosaurs. And expectedly, they took quite a bit of time to talk us through this. They confirmed a few things, which I'm going to run off now before we discuss this. Which is firstly, sexual dimorphism is in the game. Male and female dinosaur species have got different designs, so you'll be able to see that difference across the models. The dinosaurs themselves have got access to a new structure, which is a nest that they can use to breed. And dinosaurs are going to have different nesting preferences. And an example they gave was the T Rex is not going to want to nest in public. Traits like colours are going to be passed down through dinosaur generations, and dinosaur fertility will decrease over time. So basically, you need to get your dinosaurs at it as soon as possible. In the hatchery, you can set up breeding programs with scientists, and this in turn will create appealing juveniles which carry forward their appeal into adulthood. So when we talk about appeal, this is the park visitor appeal that is already in the Evolution games. And what this will do is create assets that have a degree of infamy. So in other games, for example, when the dinosaurs won a fight and they survived a fight with another dinosaur, their appeal would increase. So it will be a very similar system. But the caveat here is that this can be passed down the generations, and you get a bonus if a dinosaur that has been raised as a juvenile into an adult then has a juvenile itself. So the whole idea there is creating attractions that are entirely wild bred dinosaurs. So Brad, what did you think about the fact that this was such a heavy focus here?
Yeah, I thought this was awesome because I always like seeing different sized dinosaurs. So I wonder, we only saw like really small ones. I wonder if it will be like, if you ever play like The Sims or something, they just kind of like
Yeah,
pop and it's like all of a sudden it's just into a young adult or whatever. So it just kind of happens. I wonder how that will look as you play the game, but they look incredibly cute. The different like features that they have, like they're running around playing. They go hang out with their parents at some points. There's a lot of really cool features. I like that you need to like think about your placements and your food
yeah,
sources in a different way. You know, you have to put stuff lower to the ground, for whatever type of dinosaur they are. And the nests were interesting. It happened so fast. Like a dinosaur would just walk
yeah,
into a nest and then walk right out. And it wasn't like two dinosaurs walked into the nest. It was just one or anything. It wasn't anything
yeah.
like crude like that or anything. It was just like one dinosaur just walks in, walks out, and it says eggs are now found. So you assign like your dinosaur, you're a scientist to these different nests, I guess, to choose what kind of dinosaurs to breed, and you can, design them and stuff like that, and it gives this greater appeal, like you're talking about. And I thought that was nice,
Yeah,
because we all want to see the baby ones. So, like when we're at a zoo or somewhere,
yeah,
you want to see the baby ones, so the appeal is better. You get that bonus instead of the adults. They're like, I don't care about that old dinosaur. So I thought that was
yeah,
interesting. But there's like fertility graphs. So it sounds like like a huge level of like understanding that goes into this, and following that trajectory down the lineage and stuff will be interesting to see how that all plays out.
mm.
But I thought that was cool. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear that there's going to be a lot of management elements to it. One thing that was quite cool that they referenced was that actually when you hatch dinosaurs now as well, so if you're not wanting to breed them, if you're wanting to hatch them, you can actually preview what all the patterns and things look like before you hatch them now as well, which is quite a nice focus, I think. So there's really a
Hmm.
big kind of emphasis on having choice with creating your dinosaurs and being a lot more involved in creating them, which is quite cool. It
Yeah,
almost
they
makes
had like
me,
a
um,
they had like a 3D like
yeah,
hatchery where you could kind of like zoom it around and stuff. I thought that was nice.
it makes me feel like this is going way more John Hammond with being there at like the birth of every Velociraptor.
Yeah, and getting to see the difference between the male and the female, like directly up close. They
Yeah,
showed us, I think, a Triceratops or something, and you could
yes.
see the frill was, a bit different on the male versus the female. So,
Yeah, no, that was really cool. And then alongside that, so juvenile dinosaurs are one new feature, but another new feature is the fact that there's been even more park management added. So we now have the introduction of maintenance teams and also security cameras. So maintenance teams take on the role of repairing broken down structures, whereas in previous games, your ranger teams would have been your kind of catch-all. This time around, they're really giving different groups dedicated roles, so kind of building on what they did with the MVU in Jurassic World Evolution 2, and they have confirmed that the veterinary teams are going to be returning. Maintenance teams drive around on ATVs, and we can use them if we want. And they are connected to supply posts. So you're going to need to place supply posts around your island to make sure that all of your buildings, fences, etc., are within the radius of them, very similar to other radius based buildings that you can already place in Evolution 2. And basically, that just ensures that your maintenance teams will carry out any repairs that are needed. Now, in addition to that, you also have security cameras, and these let you watch dinosaurs and take action when they break out. And they very similar to the ranger posts that we had in Jurassic World Evolution 2 are connected to a helicopter if a response is needed. So I mean, Brad, how do you feel about them adding in more management elements like this?
I'm very scared. I'm very scared because this is kind of where I get a little lost at times. I'm like,
Yeah.
boy, there are a lot of things I have to do. It's a lot
Mm.
of work to set up all these different, outposts and different teams and assign, scientists and now maintenance and security. There's a lot of different
Yeah.
assigning of roles here, and I hope it's streamlined to its best ability. Maybe they drop some of the features that were picked up in previous iterations and kind of stick with one or something like that. Hopefully, it kind of makes it a little bit more streamlined. Um, but I did like the idea of the security cameras and stuff, kind of having that like viewpoint arc. Like if you were to put a viewing tower in, you would have that like triangular kind of thing where you can
Yeah.
see what the view is, and it was very similar to that. And being able to, which I think, in addition to the terrain choices as well, it makes maybe a lot of the park management hopefully a little bit easier, I think. And we'll get to
Yeah.
that later. But like, being able to scan like just this little portion of a fence, and then assign like a helicopter to that, hopefully, it'll rein in the chaos of your park a little bit, because sometimes it gets so
Yeah.
out of control. And then to have to like refill this or redo that, and then have to worry, is this going to work the way I want it to? I gotta wait and see, I guess, on a lot of that. But I look forward
Yeah.
to at least attempting to get a handle on all this.
It does. It seems to me like they're trying to automate a lot more of that process. So, whereas previously in Evolution 2, if you had a bunch of fences that were broken, you would have to manually assign your rangers to go and fix them, or you'd
Hmm.
have to go and fix them yourselves. Whereas now it feels like these ATVs, kind of like the resupply of the rangers with the feeding stations in Jurassic World Evolution 2, they'll basically just be going around constantly repairing any damage and that kind of stuff, which is quite nice, I guess, to your point, for players like you who maybe are not so hands on with the management side of it. It makes it a bit less daunting if you can automate more of that.
Yeah, I like that. It does remind me of the old school techniques. Like I just recently picked up Roller Coaster Tycoon, on the Switch, and
Nice. Yeah.
being able to assign your like janitors or whatever they're called in the game, like to this path and only this path, and that they're gonna go clean up that vomit somewhere,
Yeah.
or they're gonna go cut that grass in this area. I think it's gonna work well like that. So hopefully it makes a lot of the management like easier for me. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, yeah, I think it will. Something else that's got easier scenery, well, easier and also more complex at the same time, is scenery and buildings. So with scenery, firstly, so we're not talking terrain, Brad. We're talking scenery in the sense of your aesthetic additions to your parks, your benches, your
Okay.
bins, crates, all of that kind of stuff. And there are now no more restrictions on these. So whereas on Jurassic World Evolution 2 they had this annoying border box where you couldn't place items next to each other in close proximity, that is gone now, and you can clip items, you can do whatever you want to really have control over your own scenery. And in the build we saw, it actually meant that somebody had used a bunch of building pieces to make like an arch over the top of the ranger station that the car then had to drive through, which was really cool. So already that's a really nice flavour for what you'll be able to do. But even more so than that, buildings and prefabs are now modular. So the prefabs we all know and love are back in the game, but with a twist, which is if you want to edit them yourself, you can build your buildings from the ground up, and you can choose from walls, doors, windows, and other aesthetic pieces like roof overhangs, fossils and skeletons. There are even some static dinosaur models, all to really make your buildings feel unique and feel your own. And I mean, for me, I feel like this is a massively innovative feature that is going to make every park feel different.
Yeah, this was pretty wild. Like this is something that I've been really wanting from this game, the ability to make it look as Jurassic or as whatever you want it to. Like I think that's the cool part
Mm.
is you can really hone in on what you want your vibe to be on this park, and it's gonna be interesting because I'm getting vibes of like the Legend of Zelda, like Tears of the Kingdom, where like, I watch online and I'm like, dude, they created some incredible like
Yeah,
design. I think it was that. Yeah, was it that game? Yeah. Yeah, Breath of the Wild was the first one. So the second one, you could like design all these different things and vehicles and whatever. And I'm like, when I got to the game, I'm like, dude, I can put two sticks together. I can do that. So I'm getting vibes
yeah,
of that where like I can see like how awesome it is. They actually, put down like a pre-made building and then edited that and showed how you could take
yeah,
away the
and like
wall.
pulled it
You could
apart.
change the color. You can move
Yeah,
handrails or whatever you want. Literally every aspect of it was changeable, and it was funny because it starts as just like a gray box with a door, and that was it. It's got like a
yeah.
little food logo or like a hotel logo or whatever it is,
Is that
and
going
you
to be
can
your park, Brad? Just the grey box?
just gray buildings. But like that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid I'm gonna get in the game and be like, dude, I can't do this. I can't design, or
Yeah.
my aesthetic eye, like I think I'll look at it and be like, I can make something really cool, and then cut to 3 hours later and it's just like four walls and it looks horrible. And I'm like, oh my God. So
So
I don't
to
know.
to satiate those fears a little bit, the modular buildings will be coming back. So the buildings you had in Jurassic World Evolution 2 will be in this game as well.
Mhm.
And if you wanted to, you could entirely just use them. So the feature to make your own buildings is something that's there as the next level, but you'll still be able to play the game like you could JWE2.
Yeah, so I think that's what I look forward to is the fact that you can add these there's a lot of prefix designs, right? So there all the
Yeah,
different kind of scenery, you could put a Japanese style building in Malta or wherever. But I think what I'll look forward to is taking those buildings and then editing them like slightly for my
yeah,
needs. Like in the example they showed us, they had one of the pre-designed buildings and they just were like, it feels like it's missing something. And they put a
yeah.
T-Rex skeleton up on top and it's like, okay, that's cool. Like that's the kind of features I want to be able
Yeah.
to add. So adding foliage, adding lighting, things like that, I think
So
will
get
really
ready,
make me
guys.
happy.
Get ready for Let's Chat Jurassic live streams when we change handrails from red to blue.
Yes, dude. I'm gonna, you know, put so many lights down and change bushes and plants. That's me. That's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna put
I
a
like it.
like I'm gonna put a massive T-Rex just on a Spinosaurus and be like, this is the Spinosaurus from
Yeah.
Jurassic Park 3.
So I want to blow your mind a little bit here, because in the information accompanying the launch trailer, so again, that's the trailer that you guys will have seen on Friday, and we will have published this in our article and our short format video, but this will probably be the first time you're hearing this, Brad, is there are new attractions in the game, and in the release, they confirm that there's going to be Gentle Giants Encounter and also a balloon tour.
Ooh, that sounds
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So will
So
that be like a hot air balloon style thing, or
I
what?
assume so, which would be very J-Pog.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if it'll just be like the you know, the air balloons that are on like a big wire and they just raise them up into the sky and you've
Yeah.
got a different viewpoint from up there, or will it like travel? I don't know.
I mean, the word tour makes it sound like it
Yeah.
will be similar to the Jeeps. Well, the Jeeps, the Explorers. Oh god, I've just been cancelled. It'll be similar to the Explorers, where you can like chart a route for them.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah, that would be cool.
speculation, to be fair. We weren't shown that,
Sure.
but just the choice of the word tour makes me think
Yeah. And
that's what we're getting.
the other one you said was Gentle Giant, so that would be like what we saw in
Yes.
Jurassic World, right? With all
Yeah, the petting zoo, I
baby,
assume.
Th- that'll
Yeah.
be cool. Now that's hopefully there's more, because that's also what I'm very much looking forward to. Is
Mm.
having more attractions that are not like necessarily
I
attractions
want
I
the
need to set
water
up.
park, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that would be great. Like I want it to be not just, it needs to be a dinosaur theme park, not just a dinosaur zoo. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I think hey, even like if I go to the Philadelphia Zoo, you know, there's a massive like playroom area that I remember from childhood, and going to it today is like kind of wild to see. And then also like there's a carousel, there's a train, there's also attractions at the zoo
Yeah.
that you can do in addition to going and looking at animals. So that's always been something that I've been looking forward to building out this full resort, not just a zoo, you know, basically. So
Yeah. I
that gives
agree with you
me hope.
wholeheartedly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I am hopeful. And do you know what else gave me a lot of hope, Brad? I know you've been itching to talk about this. Talk to me about terrain.
Oh, you want me to talk to you about terrain?
Yeah?
Okay. So I love it. I love terrain. Terrain's very cool. You've got grass, you've got dirt, you've got mountains, beach, you know. Oh, you mean in the game? Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Um, well, I love that you can now add like these massive like rock walls and things to add
Yes.
to your enclosures. I thought that was a really great feature, because
And
I'm
I was going to say, not just rock walls, they act as a new level of elevation that you can build on top of.
yeah. So you could like, you know, which always felt like it should be the case, where you've got this rock wall that you
Mm.
could build off of that rock wall with a fence, put your hatchery, put whatever else, your tower, and then put the wall again, and then go to the other side of the rock wall. And now you can do that, which is really awesome. And I think that it acts as part of the enclosure. You can create
Yeah.
what seemingly, like, I know there was always like terrain tools and things, but it just feels like so much more. You could add ramps into like valleys and stuff to have the
Yeah.
vehicles go up and down. You can add,
It's an
um,
evolution, one could say.
yeah, this whole thing has been quite the evolution. You could add like big canyons. You can add like
Mhm.
archway rocks and stuff. They were talking about adding like this like underground like lagoon kind of thing and stuff. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
features like that. And one of the best ones was like, it was like their one last thing they showed. Is it okay to go there, or do you have this on your notes? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, you can
They
go there.
showed that they have deep water now, which I was like, yo,
Yes.
that's pretty sick. So it's not just
Yeah.
like a little puddle of water and stuff like that that the dinosaurs can drink out of. They've actually got deep water, dude, that the Spinosaurus
Yeah.
can swim in. It literally, as soon as they added it, the Spinosaurus was like, yo, I'm gonna go for a swim. And it
Yeah.
just kind of just walked into the water, started swimming around. It's picking up fish on its own, so it's doing its
Yeah.
own hunting within that deep water. There's not like food, traps or anything in there. It's just
Yeah.
literally it's just stocked with
It
fish.
naturally has it
Um,
in there.
yeah.
So
So
my
that was
immediate
cool.
thought, and I'm curious to see if this gets confirmed near a release, is if it was a big enough paddock and if we had Spinosaurus on the land, could we then put Mosasaur in the deep water? If we can do
Mm.
that, I am going to be so happy.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be interesting to see. They did have a mosasaur enclosure, right? What was it? It was surrounded by
Yes.
some sort of rock work, wasn't it?
So they
As
had a
well?
lagoon and they showed us rock work on one side of it, and they were showing how each individual rock can be placed now. So there's no
Yeah.
clipping on the rock tools either. So you can have the fence go into a rock to create a seal, or in the case of the lagoon, you can have it go around the edge of the lagoon to create the
Now,
barrier.
that was pretty eye-opening because when they showed us that lagoon and then they clicked on one of the rocks, I thought
Mm.
it was going to be this massive placement
Like the
thing, but
whole
you can,
thing, yeah.
and I think you can do portions of that, but like there was also just individual rocks that you could
Yeah.
clip and move, and it was really, really
Like it
cool
was
to see.
literally the thin top of the rock they'd used
Yeah.
to give it the cliff shape, wasn't it?
And the way that they all connect and look like and blend beautifully, like when you're using the terrain
Yeah.
tools on like the side of a cliff and stuff, it's constantly transforming as you're moving, but it lands on this like natural, looking downward slope or whatever. It just all looks very natural. So I thought that was very cool. And it was
Yeah.
just I was thinking about the code and everything behind the scenes that's working to really, to
It's
make this.
crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
So it makes I hope it all works really well because I remember playing I think on my PS4. Is that what it was? The first one was on the PS4
Yes.
or is it
Yeah.
PS3? I don't remember. Um and I
I
remember,
think it
I
was
would
on both.
yeah, I forget if what system I was on at the time, but I remember getting to the point where like I would have my Jurassic World era park fully built and it's starting to shudder a little bit. And I'm like, "Oh man, I've got a lot of things placed in this park, whether it's,
Yeah.
the fences, the dinosaurs, everything. Every one of those things has a little bit of motion and movement, so it's making my, system work extra hard. So now we've got individual rock work that you can massively put all
Yeah.
over the map, walls and terrain and different stuff. I hope it's like very much streamlined where you can kind of set all of this stuff, have all of your
Mm.
dinosaurs, have movement all over the park with the humans and stuff walking around, and it still
I
operate at a good level.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be absolutely fine. I think the advantage of this is that it's next gen consoles only, or well, current gen now. But it should perform really well. And there is an additional feature that I wanted to touch on, which is the fact that you have got a bunch of control over other elements like the scenery as well. So scenery, for example, you can rotate it still, but you can now scale it. So you could take a
Mm.
really small rock and make it massive if you wanted. And what that kind of builds on is there's a very similar feature in the Forge mode in Halo Infinite, which is the level creator mode in Halo, where you can kind of take small props and scale them and build stuff. And that mode, for the first time on next gen consoles, they were able to add the ability to place AI down as well and have the AI navigate the map. So I think that kind of makes me feel like looking at this, okay, we're seeing quite a similar functional system here, and that performed really well. So I think it will be the same here, where this will perform really well.
Yeah, hopefully. I just realized looking at my notes that we didn't touch on this pretty massive feature. I feel like so when you have all this custom stuff, this custom work, you can actually like upload the blueprints to
Do
Like,
you know what, Brad? That was our last bullet point. So go
okay, I
ahead.
was hoping, I was wondering if you would get there, but I figured since we touched on the buildings and stuff, but I thought that was really cool. And again, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure, has this been a feature before or anything
No.
like that? I wasn't sure. So but I did think it was really cool, the fact that you can, create in my world, you can
Yeah.
create a building with 4 walls, and I could upload that to a server, and then you can use my building with 4 walls. But people like you, Tom, or other creators out there can create some really incredible like buildings and parks. Like you could, whatever it is, you can create them all, and you could upload them for the community to see. But not only just see, but like use them in their parks. Like I could
Well,
take your
yes.
building, I
Yeah.
could go to your park. Like that stuff was
This is
really
the thing that
massive.
gets me so excited, because I just remember during Evolution 2 really wanting to visit Connor Ontology's park when he was doing the
Mhm.
film accurate Isla Nublar, and now being able to visit stuff like that and like go into somebody else's map, do a cinematic tour of it, create a really cool video of it. That's just really exciting. That's a level of community content that we
Dude,
haven't had before. So I am so buzzed.
I got a video idea for you. All right. So here you go. You see my park, right? You see it, you click on it, you go in, and then
And
you're like,
the
oh
cinematic, I
wow.
can tell you what the cinematic would be,
Yeah.
Brad. It would
What would it
be
be?
the Jurassic World gates opening, me stepping through, turning around, and going back out the gate.
No. Oh no, I was thinking you actually walk in and you see how impressively dumb it looks, and then you add over that with the like a harmonica sound or whatever that thing is of the
Yeah.
Jurassic Park theme, and that would be what you get when you walk into
It's
my
a
park.
building with 4 walls, but each wall is a different color and a different texture.
Yeah, I love modular design. I can do it. But yeah, I think that's a fantastic feature though, and something that
Yes.
I really look forward to. So they had added that to what was the game?
Planet
Oh man,
Coaster 2.
Animal Crossing. No, I don't know. Maybe it's in there, but Animal Crossing. So when we were playing Animal Crossing back in like 2020, there was a time where like you wouldn't be able to go to anybody's park, but then they enabled the online feature where you could go and walk through their not park, but their island, and I was like, this is so much fun being able to visit other people's places. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be really cool. It's a really welcome addition and something that people have wanted for a long time. Um, on that really brings us to a close in terms of what we saw. Do you have any other thoughts about the game, Brad?
Um, yeah, well, let's just say, I'm interested in the story and the
Mhm.
timeline of this being set narratively just after Dominion. And, you know, again, like we've talked about it a lot within the context of Rebirth about like where does Rebirth lie in all of this canonical, timeline of events,
Yeah,
and like what does it mean for the ongoing story of like the Jurassic World
mm.
saga? And not that I would
It's
say
the
I ever
rebirth of it all, isn't it?
it is, and not that I would ever consider like these video games to be canonical by any means.
Mm.
But, I like to see where they go and see how they tie into that world. So this is like narratively untouched ground. Like we don't have
Mm.
anything in this time frame. Now maybe we will, who knows if we get anything with Chaos Theory, but for now this is the only outlet we have to cover post Dominion. I think that's really cool. Having Cabot Finch back will be interesting to see what he does. Having
Mm.
Dr. Ian Malcolm back, I don't know, will we get other characters? Because there's always a lot of other characters involved. Whether
Mhm.
it's Henry Wu or I think Claire and other characters like
I'd
that.
love to see some
Um,
of the original cast of Evolution come back. Like the scientific lady, always stuck in my mind as a really well played character.
hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just interested to see what they do. And I, for some reason, am seeing now that I wrote Jeff Golem in my. I guess I didn't type the B, so that's an impression I'm gonna really have to work on.
Can you go ahead? Give it a go right here.
Gollum, Gollum, my precious dinosaurs. I can't wait to chaos theory. We'll have to do that. I don't know. I'll have to work on it a little bit.
Do you know, it didn't sound like Gollum, but it did remind me of something.
Oh, it
I
didn't
feel
sound like
like it
Gollum? Oh,
reminded
great.
me of a character from. It reminded me of a character from the Clone Wars, but I can't think of which one.
Oh gosh, I don't know. See, there's that general area is like I feel like you could fit a lot of characters in there. You could fit a Stitch, you could fit a Gollum, you could fit a lot of things like in that little that little
Oh,
range.
do you know what? That was very much a Stitch impression. That was very much Stitch.
Yes, I take place on Hawaii, and you can come visit my park because we are family.
No, I know exactly what it's making me think of. It's making me think of the dog from Men in Black.
Frank? Dude, Frank talks like me. What are you talking about? Like, this is how Frank talks. Come on.
Oh my god.
Anyway. One.
You should
and
have
while
been
we're
the
talking
main
about
character in Tales.
See, man, I could have been something great. But we did have the mention of like there will be other supportive characters and non-supportive characters. So I was interested by that little quote. But yeah, so
Hopefully we
we'll
see Ramsey back. This could be the way we see more Ramsey.
Yeah, I mean, was there ever like a Kayla Watts or anything like that in the other game? I don't know. In the expansions?
I don't think so. Maybe.
I could see,
maybe she was in Malta.
I could see something like that happening where, she pops into the storyline here. And Ramsey would be interesting to see what he's up to post, all of this. Maybe there will be some conversation about like, Senate hearings or things like that as far as what the world is capable of doing with dinosaurs. It's funny to have this serious conversation after I did those stupid voices a second ago, but yeah, so.
What I'm really hearing is Frontier. If you are watching this, there is a very talented voice actor who can voice like the janitor of the parks in this game. Please give him a role.
Well, I need help emptying the trash around the park. Please give me a hand. Anyway, I did like that the
why did that sound like Herbert? Oh God.
Oh wait, who's that?
And I'm not saying it on this stream.
from Family Guy.
Yeah.
No. He's got like a little. He's got like a lisp or something like that. That's in there. This was Hank Hill, man. I was doing the Hank Hill. Hey, Bobby, dang it! You're gonna go ahead and empty my trash around my park. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to mention was the at the end of the session there was a little slogan on the end of the screen, and I didn't know if that had been involved before. But I'll bring it up to you, but it said help life find a way. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yes.
I don't know if that's been included before. Has that?
No, it's the new slogan for this, and it's the whole idea that it's dinosaurs finding a way to coexist with man, which is a little bit brutal when you think of by the time of rebirth, they're all dead anyway.
I know. So that's like, this is all like very sad to me that like, and it's interesting if this is like, if I like to use my headcanon a little bit and say, obviously this would have happened, right? Like there would have been a lot of outlets that would have probably helped out in a lot of ways and done, I don't know, like can you have a zoo type experience or some sort of structured landscape for these dinosaurs without it becoming a Jurassic World? I don't know, but I think it was interesting. And to have that like quote at the end of help life find a way, taking that to a different place. I thought that was kind of interesting and very lovely of a way to kind of end the session there. But we're gonna have to have Dr. Ian Malcolm come in and be like, yes, we need to help life find a way, and then that would be it. I like the face that you gave me for that quote right there. So I might kick you off the stream right now.
I really want Owen Grady to have a cameo in this game. Can you just let me
No,
know what
he.
that would sound like?
I don't know. I don't know. He's nowhere. He's off lost in the
Like
woods somewhere.
Owen's talking about raptors breeding in the wild. What do we think he's got to say?
There, you know. No, I got nothing else to say about that.
I know exactly which quote you were gonna go for.
Yeah. Yep. Well,
okay. Well,
that's everything.
Yeah, it is. Thank you for doing this recording, Brad. Like we say, Jurassic World Evolution 3 will release in October. We're sure we'll see plenty more before October. And do stay tuned because we'll have a full review of the game when it releases, I'm sure. And also plenty more content about it in the run-up to the release.
Yeah, and apologies to Frontier for all the ridiculousness that I just put into this video at the very end.
I mean, if you're watching this, I really hope you've enjoyed this.
But thank you though at the same time, because it was really awesome to be able to see this ahead of time, and you know, to get to as always, me and you we're kind of like on the same page here, creating content, and you know, it's a nice thing to be able to do. It feels like special to be able to see stuff early, but it also is like, it's work. We got to get to it. You know, we got to figure it all out. We got to make sure we plan everything out, and we appreciate that time at least.
Yeah, it's useful to be able to plan everything out, even if impressions which weren't planned out in the show notes appear in the episode.
Yep. Anyway.
I feel like we just ended. Like that was it. That was the end.